I want to address the situation with Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, very scary to see him lying on the field after the collision with Damar Hamlin on Thursday night. And it wasn't even a brutal hit. I think that's what was especially concerning. When we first saw the fencing response with him back in that Thursday night game against Cincinnati a couple of years ago, it was after he was slammed to the turf on a hard tackle, and an artificial surface at that. That was not the case last week. It was somewhat of a routine play where you see the ball carrier dive forward to get the extra yards. Cam Newton used to do that a lot. Now, obviously, Cam is a lot bigger than Tua, but in terms of just the general motion, to me, I thought it looked a lot like how Cam would finish a lot of his runs. But to see it result in another concussion, that was rough. Really hope he is okay. And I know it's already out there that Tua has said he has no plans to retire, which is not surprising. And quite frankly, I think there is a distinction between protecting a player in the moment or in the heat of competition and telling someone what they should or should not do with their career. We've heard many times from plenty of guys that they absolutely knew they had a concussion, but hid it from trainers in the interest of getting right back out there on the field. And I think that probably is still the case today, hopefully to a much lesser degree, but I think we'd be naive to think that no longer happens at all. But with Tua, the commentary on Friday seemed to immediately be he should do this, he should do that, there's no way he should ever play again. And all I'm saying is take a breath and give some thought to the situation. First, and this has nothing to do with concussions. Look, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I just think it's not really our place to tell Tua or anyone that we do not have a personal relationship with what they should or should not do with their career. And I've heard a lot of that in the days since he went down. The other aspect you have to consider, and let's be real, 99.999% of us have no direct experience with these guys. Guys who make it to the NFL, and in Tua's case, someone who plays quarterback and has been a star for basically their entire life at every level, these guys have a completely different perspective. To be good enough to make it to major college football and eventually to the NFL, let alone be a star quarterback in the league, your mentality is just largely unrelatable to the bulk of society. So while I completely understand people's concern for Tua, it's ultimately his decision. And I'm sure he will talk to his family, consult with neurologists, and chart the path forward from there. He seems like a really nice guy. He's always come across that way. Very easy to root for the person, even if you're not a Crimson Tide or a Dolphins fan. But what I'm saying is, just give some thought to the idea of how different his perspective is from the millions of people commenting on this who do not actually have any direct relationship with him. I don't know when exactly Tua started playing football, but I'll guess like 5 or 6 years old. He's currently 26. For the majority of us, we were not doing the thing that then becomes our livelihood for 20 years by the time we are 26. Think about that. If you've put everything you have into playing this sport for 2 decades, you've succeeded at every level. You got to a point where you are among the elite of the elite of the elite, which is what you are if you are a starting quarterback in the NFL who gets to a second contract. Man, that is heavy. So whatever rationale we may think we have, we didn't live that life, whether that's Tua or any player for that matter. And culturally, look, family is top priority in Hawaii. They are a proud people with, and I cannot overstate this, nothing, and I mean nothing, tops the Ohana. So when Tua becomes the top quarterback prospect in high school and then signs with Alabama, his family moved to the mainland just to be there with him. They moved from Oahu to Alabama. That's how they roll. So when this thing that you've done your whole life takes you and your family to an entirely new place and then ultimately takes you to heights you could have never imagined in your wildest dreams when you were 5 years old, there's a lot to evaluate and take into consideration if you're Tua. I'm rooting for him, and whatever he ultimately decides to do, I respect it.